Good evening on this Thursday, July 11th. We are still monitoring the remnants of Tropical Storm Chantal, which are moving out across eastern Cuba and into the Bahamas, and the Hurricane Center gives this feature a 30% chance of redevelopment. As we take a look at the latest enhanced infrared satellite animation, you can see that we still have a lot of disorganized convection associated with the trough axis that stretches all the way from the lower Jamaican coastline northward through the Bahamas, and you can see that nothing is really organizing around one central point. So we have a very broad area of low pressure, and the upper level conditions continue to remain marginally favorable at best because we have a trough approaching from the northwest, as you can see here, and right behind it we have a lot of dry air out across the Tennessee Valley. So we have the trough coming in from the northwest, and this is going to help to pull the system more so towards the north. It's going to skirt the eastern part of the Florida Peninsula and eventually work its way into Georgia and the Carolinas over the next few days. And that's really going to ramp up the chances of precipitation as if we haven't had enough already over the last couple of weeks. Overall, though, again, it doesn't look like conditions are really favorable enough for this system to reattain tropical depression or tropical storm status, and even if it did, the overall conditions would still be about the same, with more in the way of rainfall working its way into the southeast United States. The low-level vorticity product from the University of Wisconsin tells us that if we're going to be looking for any closed area of circulation, it would be more so just north of Cuba along the southwest Bahamas. This is where any surface circulation would likely be in the beginning stages of forming if conditions were to remain favorable. But as we take a look at the wind shear analysis, we have a lot of westerly and northerly flow, and you can really gain a sense of just how much shear is located in and around the tropical disturbance. There's really not much room for the system to get going. The dark blues show where conditions are favorable in terms of the vertical wind shear, but we really don't have much of a pocket of favorable upper level winds for this storm to take advantage of. As we take a look at the latest low to mid-level steering, you can see that the trough is really starting to become more pronounced over the east coast of the United States. And that's really going to help to spread the bulk of moisture and rainfall associated with the remnants of Chantal straight up the east coast into the Carolinas, except for maybe some portions of the east coast of Florida where it's just so close to the western fringe of the area of low pressure. But much of the central Gulf will remain high and dry, at least from this particular system. That's not to say you still won't be impacted by daily summertime storms for this time of the year. This is a look at the 5-day precipitation total forecast from NOAA's Weather Prediction Center, and you can see that the main bullseye will be across the Carolina coast from South Carolina northward through the Outer Banks, and we're looking at maximum rainfall totals in the range of about 3 to 4 inches with locally higher amounts. The latest 12Z run of the Canadian CMC model is showing the tropical disturbance regenerating into Tropical Storm Chantal and moving inland as we work our way into 48 hours near Wilmington, North Carolina. However, as we have said numerous times in our videos, the CMC model is often way too aggressive in the tropics, and it doesn't have much support from other models in terms of redeveloping Chantal. And it's also starting to take a tropical feature from the central Atlantic westward through Florida, and as we showed in yesterday's video, it is still showing development in the central Gulf before making landfall out across Texas. At this time yesterday, it was showing a landfall near Lake Charles, Louisiana, but the track has shifted more so towards Corpus Christi. However, once again, the Canadian CMC is likely being far too aggressive with developing this feature. In contrast, the 18Z run of the American GFS model is showing little to no regeneration of Tropical Storm Chantal as it moves up towards the Carolinas, bringing rainfall to that area. It's also not showing anything in the way of development in the Gulf of Mexico. If anything, as we go into day 7 and day 8, it is taking a tropical wave exiting from the African coastline westward towards the Lesser Antilles, and you can see it moving into the Caribbean islands just to the south of Barbados. But this is the only model that is showing tropical development in the central Atlantic within the next week or so. Nonetheless, we will keep an eye on this area for any signs of development, or if we start to get a better model consensus. In the meantime, we have a significant typhoon moving westward out across the western Pacific, and it is approaching Taiwan, where interests there are bracing for typhoon conditions within the next few days. And we do have more typhoon information provided at our website if you visit 28storms.com/typhoon, where you will find more in the way of video updates for interests out there out across the Western Pacific. These videos are tailor-made for Western Pacific storms, along with our links here that you can find with more information from official weather sources across the Western Pacific Basin.